congratulations, bike champion. I mean, bike champion of the year. If I may ask, like, just the distinction. What does that mean for you?
Um, for me, I think I got recognition really because of my commute.
Okay.
Um, I don't bike at nearly as much as so many other of my friends and
Right.
teammates who I know bike significantly more.
Mhm.
So I have the imposter syndrome a little bit. But I was nominated by the sustainability director
Mhm.
and another planner at my work,
Mhm.
who they were acknowledged. They were just, I guess they were really impressed with my commute
Okay.
because I'll bike to BART and then I take E-BART to Pleasant Hill and then I bike from Pleasant Hill to Martinez.
Oh wow, so you're going all the way across. You're pretty much going almost across Highway 4.
Yeah.
Goodness. I'm gonna ask probably the one question everyone else is gonna ask: Why? I mean, because you think about like when you think about people who when you think about people who commute to bike, it's like they'll bike to their nearby BART station, which for us would be Antioch technically, right?
Mm-hmm.
They'll bike to the nearby BART station, they'll go, and then especially those who work in the city, they'll BART all the way into the city, and then they'll just ride your bike about five blocks or whatever, right? You're doing this pretty much like an entire car commute if you think about it. I mean, if I may ask, like why? Why? I mean, in simple terms, like why?
So really what happened is I at first when I worked at the county, I got hired in March 2023. And
A quick side. What do you do for the county?
so right now I'm a planning technician
Oh,
for
cool. Okay.
the county, so like city planning.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
But before I got this role, I actually was hired as a clerk for county council.
Okay.
So I was still working in Martinez, and I had my normal commute, and about an hour and 30 minutes later, I thought, this is ridiculous. Like, there's got to be a better way.
Just commuting on BART and just normal.
No, so this was me just driving.
Oh, driving,
So
okay.
while I was driving in that traffic, I usually leave around like 6:30.
Okay.
If I'm gonna drive, and one day it took almost an hour, like a little under 2 hours.
With traffic and all that.
With traffic, because if there's an accident and just
Right.
everyone's trying to funnel in,
Right.
so I thought, I gotta do something else. And I'm just really lucky that I used to work at Sports Basement at the bike shop.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So I have just like a background with bikes.
Oh, so you're very familiar.
I'm very familiar.
Right. Okay.
I'm still part time there, in fact.
Nice, okay.
Just because it's a fun place
I
to
mean,
be.
in this economy, especially, kind of helps.
Oh, I know. Honestly, it's a good atmosphere, and I like biking anyway. So
Right.
yeah.
So the biking part. I mean, if I may ask, like, what I kind of want to start with this, like, what got you into biking? Like, what's something you just love to do growing up, or?
Well, I learned how to bike when I was, ever since I was a kid, I biked. Went to college, biked in college just to get to class. I went to UC Davis, so it's a really big biking community anyway. But I really got into biking after I graduated.
Okay.
So 2018 is when I got really into it. My old supervisor, he would bike to work. One of my other colleagues, she did. So then I thought, maybe I should just get into it because it's fun. Yeah. And then I found this club out here in Brentwood, Delta Valley Velo.
Right.
Yeah. Those guys were really welcoming. It's like biking with a bunch of my dads.
Nice.
Quite literally. Some of them are the parents of people I went to high school with.
Oh, wow, okay.
So
it really is like biking with a bunch
it's really like biking with a lot of my dads.
But it's got to be just being welcome like that. That's got to be kind of cool if you think about like being a part of big groups like that and having that support base, not just of people you trust, but also people you know, like you've kind of grown up with. It's the connection is a lot more rooted, right?
Yeah, and then it feels safe. So
Okay.
like no matter where I go in Brentwood.
How did you find Velo?
Really, well, the group always bikes around. I guess when I was biking with one of my friends before he moved, he lived here. Now he lives in SF. But we would bike with just some of our other friends at random. And we saw this group of cyclists, these guys who are older than us, look like our parents. And they told us, hey, like we meet up and we bike to the dam.
Oh, wow.
On like Sundays, and eventually we just kind of started to join them
Right.
and figure out their schedule, because they have a website and they have like a Facebook group, and they'll just mention like, we're gonna meet at 8 a.m. Saturday, and then we just bike around Brentwood.
And you've
really
been doing that. So you've been doing it the last 7 years.
about
Since about 7 years, right? If I may ask, did you ever think you would you kind of be recognized for your commute and recognized for all this kind of stuff? I mean, you know, when you think of awards, especially when it comes to cycling, it's it's usually commonly it's more in a competitive space, right?
Yeah.
You're doing this in the common space. I'm just kind of curious. Did you ever think you'd kind of get recognized for this, and what does it mean to you to be recognized for, essentially, be recognized for your commute?
Yeah. No. I did not expect this at all. I didn't even know I was nominated till I got the email.
Okay.
From 511, and she CC'd the sustainability director, my coworker Jody, and Jody's work's just upstairs for me. So they're like, if you accept this, I'm like, well, I have to accept it. You CC'd her. What am I gonna do? Say no? But it was really cool. I'm just very flattered. I know so many other people who do so much more. So part of me just feels like, do I do enough? But I appreciate the acknowledgement, and I guess the space to also kind of advocate more for public, like pathways for
public
cyclists.
access and stuff like that. Your thoughts on that? You mentioned public access. I'm kind of curious, and you also work in planning, so I'm kind of curious your thoughts on. We see a lot more in this state, especially. We see a lot more people biking. You still see a ton of cars. Don't get me wrong, but there are a lot more people biking than there were. I think, especially post-pandemic, we're starting to see that more again.
Yeah.
Your thoughts on just creating that space, and now that you kind of, in a weird way, have this platform, your thoughts are just like creating this. Your thoughts are just like having public access and the importance of it for bikers and being part of a biking club and such like that. How big that is. If that makes sense.
I guess my thoughts on, how to advocate for it.
I guess could you advocate for that? I'm curious, because as someone, biking is a big part of your life, more so probably now than it was before, right? But your thoughts on just like advocating for more public access, whether it's bike paths, whether it's like just safer lanes for bikers, you when you think about your commute, you're biking to BART, obviously you gotta take certain paths and go on certain streets. Having bikes back on BART. I mean, that's kind of been it was a thing definitely pre-pandemic, but I think we're starting to see a bit more of it now, and kind of how you can make that a better experience. If there's a way to make that a better experience for people like you who commute to a BART station and bike from another BART station. And so on. Like, can you advocate for that? How would you go about that, if I may ask?
I think I'm really lucky that I do work in planning. Like, I studied community development in school, so I've always been interested in public transportation, or just creating accessible anything that helps the community. But for this specifically, as a cyclist, I can actively tell these are the trails that don't have lights at this time of the day. And that's kind of a problem for people who want to bike, but they don't always have all the tools. They have a bike, they have a helmet, but they don't have lights. And being able to actually be in touch with the people who know the trails, there are no lights on this trail. And if we want people to use them, we need to make it feel safe enough to use. I don't think anyone needs to be like a professional cyclist in order to be able to do this type of commute. I mean, ideally, people don't have to commute as far as I do. But if you created more space and areas that make it feel less intimidating, I think more people would use that. Just area, and I guess just trying to talk to as many people as I can. I think getting more people on bikes has influenced a lot. Like, BART has better places to put your bike on the train. And that's been really
especially
helpful.
with the newer cars too. Right.
The new design has made it like, okay, there's a space, versus before where I would be standing in the middle and I feel guilty because I know I'm taking space.
Nowhere to go. Right. I look at that. If I may ask, you mentioned your commute with the one time when you drove, it was like an hour and a half that one day, which kind of influenced this. If I may ask, how long is the commute now?
it's not always like that. So there's like those unique times when.
Right.
Typically, if I'm driving, it takes me 45 minutes to potentially an hour.
Okay.
From Brentwood to Martinez, but it's because of the commute time.
Right.
But if there's no commute and it's just clear traffic, it's about like 27 minutes.
That's not too bad. Okay.
So it's really not bad.
Okay.
But an hour and a half for like 23
but
miles.
that one day was kind of like, we're not doing this again. Okay,
yeah.
Right?
I was like, no.
I totally get it. Awesome. Thank you so much for coming in. I really appreciate it. This was
Yeah,
great.
my
Congratulations.